We spend so much time these days curating our digital selves.
Right, projecting an image.
Exactly. You post the book you're supposed to be reading on Instagram. You share that, cool indie playlist on Spotify.
To look at you have sophisticated taste.
Right. But I've always thought, if you really want to know someone, truly get inside their head.
You have to look at the data they don't show off.
The stuff they don't show off, the raw log. The song they listen to on repeat for 3 hours during a breakup.
The track they use to wake up every single Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
That unpolished, chaotic reality.
It's the difference between an autobiography, which is the story we tell about ourselves, and a browser history, which is just the cold, hard truth.
Exactly.
And that is what we are unpacking today. We have a fascinating data set, a year in review for 2025 from a music blogger, a dedicated listener who goes by the handle Greensterox.
And this isn't some generic Billboard chart.
No, this is a personal audio diary, a top 50 song list, album discoveries, and some surprisingly deep commentary.
So our mission today isn't just to, list the songs. Anyone can read a list.
Right.
We want to decode the why. We want to look at this eclectic mix of nostalgia, new discoveries, and, frankly, weird statistical anomalies to figure out what it all tells us.
Before we get into the specific tracks, and there are some wild ones, we need to talk about the methodology.
Yes.
Because Greensterox didn't just let the computer decide everything. There was a human intervention in the algorithm.
Right. This is critical context. So in any yearly chart, play counts are the main thing. That's standard.
Sure.
But what happens when you have a tie? It's super common to listen to 10 different songs exactly 20 times each.
And usually a streaming service would just rank those alphabetically or something, which feels arbitrary.
Totally arbitrary. So Greensterox applied a specific tiebreaker rule. If the play counts were equal, precedence was given to the song played most recently.
Okay, I have to say, I have mixed feelings about that. It feels like a massive recency bias. You're saying the song I liked in December is inherently more valuable than the song I was obsessed with in January, even if I listened to them the exact same amount.
I actually think it's a brilliant way to measure current relevance. Think about it.
Okay.
The song from January might be a relic of a past you, maybe a you that was sad or motivated or traveling. The song from December represents who you are now. It prioritizes narrative momentum.
That's a fair point. It's what have you done for me lately, applied to classic rock.
Exactly.
And speaking of the list itself, the source describes the vibe as typically eclectic.
Eclectic is putting it mildly.
Yeah.
When you scan the bottom tier of the top 50 positions 50 through 31, it looks like 3 different radio stations are fighting for the O chord.
It really does. Kicking things off at number 50, you have Air with Mère du Japon. That's so chill, electronic, background vibes.
It's sonic furniture. It sets a mood.
But then jump up to number 42, and you get slammed with Last Man Standing by Alter Bridge. Heavy, intricate rock.
And this is the reality of the modern listener. We aren't rock fans or pop fans anymore. We are mood regulators.
That's a great way to put it.
We use Air to focus or relax, and we use Alter Bridge to get hyped or vent frustration. The playlist reflects the complexity of a human day, not, a single genre preference.
Well, speaking of genre preferences, there is a very specific pop star who just absolutely dominates this lower section. We have to talk about the Gaga factor.
Oh, it is impossible to ignore. Lady Gaga is all over the 30s and 40s.
Right. You've got Die With a Smile at 47, Zombie Boy at 43, and then this cluster, Garden of Eden at 40, Abracadabra at 39, and Disease at 38.
That's 5 tracks. By any metric, that's a successful year for an artist in one person's rotation.
It is. But here's the contradiction that caught my eye in the notes. Greensterox actually critiques the album these tracks came from. He calls the album Mayhem a bit patchy.
And this is a perfect example of the unbundling of music. In the vinyl or CD era, if an album was patchy, you might just shelf it.
Yeah, you just put on something consistent.
But in the streaming age, the album as a unit matters less. You can think an album is mediocre but still find huge value in 5 specific songs. The data, the high play counts, contradicts the opinion. The listener says, I don't love this album. But their behavior says, I cannot stop listening to these specific beats.
It's the art versus the artifact. Okay, so if Gaga is the winner of the bottom tier, there's a notable loser in the 2025 chart compared to last year. We should address the Swift drop-off.
It is a dramatic shift. According to the notes, Taylor Swift basically owned the 2024 list.
Dominated it.
She had the #1 and #2 spots. She was the soundtrack of that year for him.
And in 2025.
One entry, just one. Anti-Hero at number 37.
That feels like a breakup. What happened there?
I don't think it's a breakup. I think it's more like a fever break. Musical obsession is cyclical. You can't maintain that level of super fandom forever. It's exhausting.
So you binge an artist, you memorize every lyric, and
Yeah.
then you just regress to the mean.
Exactly. It's not that he stopped respecting the music. The notes still call Anti-Hero a cracking and sophisticated pop tune.
Right.
It's just that the dopamine hit wore off. She went from being the current obsession to being a legacy staple, which is actually a very healthy place for an artist to be.
Let's move up the ladder. Positions 30 through 11. I found a coincidence here that I just have to point out. I'm calling it The Runaway Face-Off.
Oh, I saw this in the data. 2 songs, same exact title.
At number 26, you've got Avril Lavigne with Runaway, 10 plays, but beating her at number 11 is Ed Sheeran with his track Runaway with 13 plays.
And aside from the humor of it, it anchors the listener in 2 totally different eras. You have the early 2000s pop-punk angst of Avril versus the, polished pop of Sheeran.
It is interesting that Sheeran's ranked higher, given this listener seems to lean towards rock.
Well, speaking of rock, and rock that
Yeah.
absolutely refuses to die, we have to talk about War of the Worlds.
Jeff Wayne's musical version.
Yeah.
A classic.
A classic. But this isn't just I remember that. Listen, this 50-year-old album is putting up serious numbers in 2025.
Yeah. Artilleryman and The Fighting Machine is at 33, and The Eve of the War is all the way up at number 18.
This speaks to the audiophile side of the listener. I mean, War of the Worlds is a production masterpiece. It's dense, it's theatrical.
It's an experience.
When you see a legacy album charting this high, it's not because they're discovering the melody. It's because they're enjoying the texture. It's pure headphone candy.
But sadly, not all the nostalgia in 2025 was celebratory. The chart takes a pretty somber turn here. The source material notes that 2025 was the year the world lost Chris Rea.
Yeah, a guitar and songwriting legend. And you see the data reflecting that loss almost immediately.
His track, I Can Hear Your Heartbeat, the new light version, hit number 12.
We call this grief listening. It's a collective ritual we've developed in the digital age. When an artist passes, we don't just post about it.
We consume the catalog.
We consume the catalog. It's a way of communing with them, to put it bluntly. You're letting their voice back into your head.
And notice the track selection. It's not his biggest hit. It's a specific version of a specific song. That implies a deep personal connection.
Definitely.
We also see a similar, though less mournful, revisit with Michael Jackson at number 20. But it wasn't Billie Jean or Thriller. It was Jam.
Which is a fascinating choice. Jam is from the Dangerous era. It's New Jack Swing, it's aggressive.
Greensterox describes it as more like a constant rhythm than a song.
Which is a great observation. Jam is all about the percussive attack. It shows that in 2025, the listener was looking for energy and drive, not just a sing-along chorus. They wanted a vibe.
Okay, we are entering the big leagues, the top 10. And I have to say, looking at this list, I am confused.
Why is that?
Because in the notes, Greensterox explicitly says, and I'm quoting here, I usually dislike covers. He talks about how they dilute the legacy or show a lack of imagination.
It's very purist stance. Don't mess with the original.
Exactly. But then you look at the top 10, and it is wall-to-wall covers.
Right.
4 of the top 10 songs are cover versions.
It's the ultimate case of data overriding ideology. The listener thinks they hate covers, but their ears tell a different story. It seems 2025 was the year they realized a cover, if it's done with imagination and talent, as he puts it, can stand on its own.
Let's break these down because they are eclectic. At number 10, Alexandra Burke's version of Hallelujah.
Which is a bold move, covering Cohen, or really the Jeff Buckley version. That's holy ground.
It is. But the source calls it pure class. It suggests that sometimes a powerful, polished vocal can just strip away the baggage of a song and make it beautiful again.
Yeah, I get that.
Then at number 7, this is one that made me smile. Saxon covering Ride Like the Wind.
This is the genre clash of the century. Saxon British heavy metal legends covering Christopher Cross, the patron saint of yacht rock.
It sounds like it shouldn't work.
But the listener notes that while it's heavier than the original, obviously, it's still pretty melodic. It just proves that a great song is a great song. The skeleton is so strong you can dress it up in denim and leather or a polyester suit, and it still holds up.
Okay, moving to number 4. We have Only You by the Flying Pickets and a cappella cover of Yazoo.
Which is traditionally a Christmas favorite.
But the data shows it was being listened to heavily in August.
That is the beauty of the personal playlist. There are no seasons. If you want that a cappella warmth in the heat of summer, you just hit play.
And finally, the highest ranking cover at number 3, Guns N' Roses doing Live and Let Die.
The cover's so successful that a lot of people forget it's a Paul McCartney song.
Right. The source calls it monumentally solid. It fits the profile perfectly, classic rock energy, high production.
So covers took almost half the top spots.
But amidst all that, there are 2 original tracks in the top 10 that I think reveal the most about who this listener actually is.
I agree. The covers are about musical appreciation. The originals here are about personal history.
At number 9, we have Dire Straits, Once Upon a Time in the West. But it's the live version from the Alchemy album.
And this connects right back to War of the Worlds. This is a connoisseur choice. Live tracks can be messy, but for a band like Dire Straits, the live version is where the musicianship really shines. The listener says it rivals the studio version. That's someone who is paying attention to every single guitar lick.
But then at number 5, we have Shut Up and Dance by Walk the Moon. Now, this is a catchy pop song, sure, but why top 5?
This is the emotional anchor. Greens to Rock shares a story about making a silly video called Shut Up Dad and Dance With Me when his daughter was 10.
That's the diary aspect we talked about at the start.
Exactly. When he plays that song, he isn't just hearing a pop beat, he is time traveling. He's back in the living room with his 10-year-old daughter. That emotional utility is the strongest driver of repetition we have. It overrides genre, it overrides coolness.
If a song holds a core memory, it stays in the rotation forever.
Forever.
Okay, we've arrived at the winner's circle, the top spots. And remember that tiebreaker rule, recency beats volume. This is where it created absolute chaos.
It really did. It was a statistical dead heat.
Positions 5, 4, 3, and 2. They all had exactly 19 plays. Walk the Moon, The Flying Pickets, Guns N' Roses, and the eventual number 2.
19 plays each. So the ranking wasn't decided by who was listened to more,
but simply by who was listened to less.
And the song that edged out all those heavy hitters to take the silver medal is Sheryl Crow with Wildflower.
Which is fascinating. You have the high-energy rock of Guns N' Roses, the pop anthem of Walk the Moon, and they lose to a track he describes as having a delicate vocal and being stripped down.
She won because she was played on September 25th, which was just slightly later than the others.
It suggests that as the year went on, the listener's mood was shifting.
Yeah, the momentum of 2025 was trending toward the quiet, the reflective.
Which brings us to the undisputed champion, the number 1 song of 2025. With 21 plays, a clear winner, no tiebreaker needed.
And the song is Jefferson by Roxette.
Roxette, the Swedish legends. But there is a massive layer of irony here that I just love.
Oh, it's rich. This song is from the album Room Service. And in the notes, Greens to Rocks explicitly states that Room Service is one of their least favorite Roxette albums.
Wait, so their absolute favorite song of the year comes from an album they don't even like?
It circles right back to the Lady Gaga point. You don't have to marry the album to love this song. Jefferson is described as a cool, catchy, mid-tempo rocker. It evidently scratched a specific itch that nothing else could.
It stood tall above the album it came from, so Roxette takes the crown.
Yeah.
But before we wrap this, I want to pivot briefly to the top undiscovered albums.
Right, and just to clarify for everyone listening, these aren't albums released in 2025. These are albums the listener found in 2025.
Correct. At number 3, we have Paramore with Riot, high-energy pop-punk. At number 2, hitting that metal urge, is Alter Bridge again with Pawns and Kings.
Which apparently came from a colleague's recommendation, which is how so much music spreads. Just complaining that there's no decent modern metal left and having someone prove you wrong.
But the number 1 discovery, this closes the loop on our earlier story in a way that is almost too perfect.
It really is a narrative arc. The number 1 discovery was Christopher Cross's self-titled debut album from 1979.
The source of the yacht rock.
Think about the chain of events. At number 7 on the song chart, he's obsessing over the Saxon cover of Ride Like the Wind.
Right, the heavy metal version.
That curiosity drives him back to the source material.
And the notes say they actually digitized this from Dad's old LP.
That is such a specific 2025 activity. Taking a physical artifact, your dad's record, a piece of family history, preserving it, and then integrating it into your modern digital workflow.
And the verdict on the original album.
Pure delight. Jazzy, soulful. He came for the cover, but stayed for the original craft.
It's a perfect circle. Started with metal, ended with soft rock.
And that, I think, helps us summarize the profile of Greens to Rocks.
So if you had to sum up this listener based on the data, who are they?
We're looking at someone who is completely unconstrained by genre. They aren't trying to impress anyone.
Not at all.
You have heavy metal next to soft rock. You have teenage pop sensations next to 50-year-old prog rock. You have the raw emotion of a daddy-daughter memory next to the technical appreciation of a guitar solo.
It's messy.
It's human. Algorithms want us to be consistent. They want to put us in a box so they can sell us ads. But this data proves we are consistently inconsistent. We evolve. We react to deaths, to memories, to the weather, to random suggestions.
So here's the thought I want to leave you with today. We talked about that tiebreaker rule, recency beating volume.
Right. The what have you done for me lately rule.
If we looked at your most played list right now and we applied that rule, how would the story change? If you sorted your life by what you listened to last versus what you listened to most, what would that say about who you are right now versus who you were in January?
Is your momentum moving toward the quiet wildflower or the heavy live and let die?
Check your history. You might be surprised by the answer. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the sounds of 2025.
It's been a pleasure.
See you next time.